Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome back to 365 Days of Love and Miracles with A Course in Miracles. My name is Arlene Geres, and I am so glad that you are here. Please remember to listen right until the very end because we have a special treat for you. And if you enjoyed today's video, please click like and subscribe below because this helps others to find us on YouTube. Today's lesson is lesson number 309. I will not fear to look within today. Do you have any fear of looking within, of looking at yourself? How do you manage when someone criticizes you or asks you to change? I know it's not easy for me. This is an area where my ego just jumps right up and wants to go directly into defense and attack. With A Course in Miracles, I have learned to moderate somewhat, but I have a long way to go. Let's read the lesson. Within me is eternal innocence, and it is God's will that it be there forever and forever. I, his son, whose will is as limitless as his own, can will no change in this. For to deny my Father's will is to deny my own. To look within is but to find my will as God created it, and as it is. I fear to look within because I think I made another will that is not true and made it real, yet it has no effects. Within me is the holiness of God. Within me is the memory of Him. Let's talk about this beautiful lesson. We are, of course, talking about how we see ourselves through the world of the ego. Our ego holds on tight and tells us not to look within, because when we do that, we are challenging the ego. If we were just open-hearted and any time that we made a mistake, we were willing to accept that we messed up, then our ego would lose its grip on us, and the ego doesn't want to do that. So we are fearful to look within. That is a human response. Anytime that someone challenges us or even very kindly mentions that we've made a mistake, unless we are fully enlightened, it is a human reaction to deny it, to ignore it, to get upset, to get angry. But when we recognize that this kind of response is holding us back, then we can become more willing to open our minds and hearts to the idea that we can take an honest look within. We can trust God. God will never lead us astray. The first line says, within me is an eternal innocence. This is how we were created. This is who we are. We are not sinful. We are not tarnished. We are not horrible human beings. It doesn't matter what our mistakes are. We are perfect, beloved children of God. It is God's will that we be eternally innocent. This is how He created us. We are literally a piece of God. So how can we possibly be anything less than perfect? It is God's will that we be seen as sinless. It is God's will that we be seen as innocent. It is God's will that we be seen as perfect. Can you accept yourself in that way? This is not arrogance in any way. In fact, it is the opposite. There is a humility in accepting the truth of who we are. Because when we do that, we see all others in the same way. We recognize that our brothers and sisters are one with us. We are all perfect. We are all innocent. We are all holy. Within me is the holiness of God. Within me is the memory of Him. This is who we are. We are God's beloved children. If you would like to close your eyes, I will read the prayer for today. The step I take today, my Father, is my sure release from idle dreams of sin. Your altar stands serene and undefiled. It is the holy altar to myself, and there I find my true identity. Let's talk about it. What is this holy altar to ourselves? This is the truth of who we are. Can you imagine actually building an altar, placing your picture there, looking at it and just embracing that picture and saying, oh, I love you so much. You're so beautiful. You are perfect. You are holy. You are beloved. You are exactly the way that you're supposed to be. I think that's what this lesson is talking about. It is about celebrating our own glory. And when we do that, our hearts open to seeing the glory in everyone we meet. Isn't that exciting? Let's go back and take a quick look at what is the second coming. Today we are reading the 5th paragraph. The second coming is the one event in time which time itself cannot effect. For everyone who ever came to die, or yet will come, or who is present now, is equally released from what he made. In this equality is Christ restored as one identity, in which the sons of God acknowledge that they are all one. And God the Father smiles upon his Son, his one creation, and his only joy. That is you, and that is me. We are all God's one Son. We are all his creation and his joy, and he is smiling on us. Can you embrace this truth for yourself today? We are all released from what we have made. This is the made-up story in which we have taken on this role, this belief that we are sinful, that we are bad, that we are wrong, full of shame and full of guilt. We can release that old story. It's getting very worn out by now, don't you think? Let it go. It's like the coat of many colors. Let's wrap ourselves in God's love and accept 100% that we are God's perfect, beloved children, every single one of us. Our practice sessions for today. First thing in the morning, last thing just before we go to sleep, I would suggest that you read the lesson over or listen to it here and allow your hearts to open just to this idea. Spend 10 or 15 minutes in silent meditation, just reflecting on the idea that we don't have to be afraid to look within. Any resistance to doing that is purely of the ego, and it is time to let that go. When we get past those clouds of doubt and insecurity, we are going to see the shining face of God just looking proudly down upon us, and we will accept his adoration and his love. For our hourly practice periods, it's a short lesson. You may want to review the entire lesson or simply say the mantra for today. I will not fear to look within today. Pay special attention anytime that someone makes a suggestion or even a criticism, and just stop and ask yourself, is this true? I don't need to be afraid to look within. If I need to make some changes, let me be willing to do that. If you would like to close your eyes, I will read the lesson one more time to finish today's lesson. I will not fear to look within today. Within me is eternal innocence, and it is God's will that it be there forever and forever. I, his Son, whose will is as limitless as his own, can will no change in this. For to deny my Father's will is to deny my own. To look within is but to find my will as God created it, and as it is. I fear to look within, because I think I made another will that is not true and made it real. Yet it has no effects. Within me is the holiness of God. Within me is the memory of him. The step I take today, my Father, is my sure release from idle dreams of sin. Your altar stands serene and undefiled. It is the holy altar to myself, and there I find my true identity. I will not fear to look within today.
Thanks so much for listening right until the end, my friends. If you enjoyed today's video, please share the love. Tell others about these videos. Encourage them to start at lesson 1 and only do 1 lesson a day. Are you ready for our special treat? This is the Day of the Dead display in La Cruz, set up in Centro. Beautiful. These crepe paper flowers are supposed to be marigolds. Marigolds are significant because it is believed that the smell of the flowers guides our loved ones back. I will not fear to look within today. Have a fearless day, my friends. I love you.